Writer, director, and producer Zineb Oukach is a native of Casablanca, Morocco. Now, she has always loved films and has been inspired by many of them from a very young age. Now, she attended the Cours Florent, a theater school in Paris, and has since curated quite the body of work as an actress, including Rendition by Gavin and The Wolf of Wall Street, as well as the science fiction television series Alien Dawn that aired on Nickelodeon. But we're here today to discuss Zineb's live action short film, Interruption, which is a deeply emotional film. This incredibly thought provoking film not only touches on abortion, but the double standards that are still present between males and females. Interruption has qualified to be considered for a 2024 Academy Award. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome writer, director, producer of Interruption, Zineb Oukach, to the show. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Right off the bat, what inspired you to create your film Interruption and tackle this subject?
I watched, like everyone else, what happened, the overturn of Roe v. Wade on June 24th, 20, last year. And I actually wrote the script back in 2019 for a friend of mine to direct the film, but she didn't want to do it because she was concerned about the backlash she will get back home. So when I saw the overturn of Roe v. Wade, I remember I was in Montreal doing another film, and I just felt like I had to jump in and do it.
Well, it was so timely, and for everyone watching and listening, just kind of give us an overview of what your film is about.
So it's about a journalist and an activist that is somewhere in the Middle East, in North Africa, and she is uh, challenging the power or talking about things that are not going so well in her country. She gets pregnant and she's about to leave the country to go to the United States for an abortion because her sister lives there, but her plans are suddenly interrupted because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. But she's also followed by a police man who has the same issue. His wife is pregnant and they don't want to have another baby for economic reasons. So yes, that's the story. That's
Well,
the
well, when I watched this film, and I watched it a couple of times to really understand really the emotional side. And when someone thinks about a woman getting an abortion, they automatically assume that the woman is single. But
Mhm.
like you said, in your film, there is one single woman, but then there's another woman who is married. Why did you want to show both perspectives?
Because I really want to bring a human story to this political issue, and I try to make a film with no judgment and just to bring more heart to this political issue and a human story to just make because people are suffering from these laws, and I think it's a choice that a man and a woman should have, or a man or a woman should have with her doctor. I just didn't want, yeah.
What I loved about the film is that it touched very lightly on the political side
Hmm.
and heavily focused on the emotional side. When people watch the news media and when this subject was prevalent, I mean, just weekly prior to Roe versus Wade, it always had a very political overtone on people choosing sides, if they're pro life, if they're pro choice. What I
Yeah.
loved about your film is that you brought the emotional side to the story to really bring that human element to help us help all people to understand that beyond the political side of this issue, there is a very strong emotional toll on the other side. And I love the way that you brought in the element of a single woman and a married woman, which I would have never even thought about that element, but you did. But then you added the element of the man and the
Mhm.
husband, and the man is not only a husband in this case, he is also a law enforcement official. Why did you add that element?
Uh, because I I was inspired from a lot of stories that I've heard, that I've seen also, from where I come from. There is this abortion is illegal and it's also taboo. I'm from Morocco. I grew up in Casablanca, and I just wanted to have a policeman who does apply the law, who does he's a law enforcement. What happened when he has that issue, when he has an unwanted pregnancy, and then now what is he going to do? Is he going to apply the law, which he did his whole career, his whole life? Is he going to apply that law in his personal situation with his wife, or is he going to be an outlaw? And I really wanted to push the boundaries here and just have the public and the audience ask questions, because these things happens. Like, it can happen to not just a normal person, but also to a policeman, to a lawyer, a judge. These things happen. So what do you do?
Exactly. And how, for you, how did you explore the emotional toll on the man when a possible abortion is part of the discussion, in this case, between a husband and wife?
So, like I said, I grew up in Morocco. I know the culture. I know how man approaches this kind of subject. It's always whispered. Just the word of abortion is whispered. He also says in the film, just get rid of it. Um, for it's he doesn't wanna. He basically gives to his wife the choice, or he tells her what to do. But we don't see her what she's gonna do after. We don't see if she's gonna do it or not. And I wanted to leave also that open. Um, but the emotional, I think everyone knows. There's a reason why I didn't want to do this film in the US, but rather in a culture like mine, because I know better how those emotions and social codes works. I didn't want to have, and it's also, yeah, it was more powerful because Roe v. Wade, the overturn of Roe v. Wade, really impacted the rest of the world.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, where that you did not film it in America, because I think the whole tone would have been completely different. So I applaud you for not filming it here, but filming it where the laws were already in place, where abortion has always been illegal. I love the fact that the man was a stern protector of the law, but then he is faced with this decision. I also thought it was interesting, and not sure if you did this on purpose, but both he and his wife, or especially him, it was more of the thought of, we can't afford another child.
Mhm.
But then he goes to his superior
Mhm.
and wants to walk the dog, or and then but his superior says, well, you couldn't afford a dog like this. And I'm like, wow, he's he is wrestling with the decision of this fifth child that
Mhm.
he says that they can't afford. But then his superior officer tells him that even though he wants to go walk his dog, he couldn't even afford to buy the dog. And I'm like, hmm, was that put in on purpose?
Yes, yes, that's the little things that that I know the culture and the codes. Like when a superior, uh, I just know the social codes so well. He's looked. The superior looks down at him like he's in America we call them losers. It's like, it's a big thing here, but he's used to, he's been disappointed by his job also. He follows this woman, and um, there is a moment in the clinic where it's there is a he sees her vulnerability, and this is the first time for him. But for the dog, he loves animals. He gives some food to the bird in a cage. That was also on purpose. Sorry. He loves dogs. He's very close to animals, and he does think about getting a dog for his kids, but it is expensive to get a dog like that. He cannot afford it. Yes, and I just wanted to show the social class also through the dog, through the clothes, without going too much, without going too, because it is a short film, so it's hard to, you know.
But every element in this film had a purpose and it had a meaning. And I love the conversation that he had. I believe it was with his wife as to what would happen if an abortion was done. And what I thought was interesting was that in that particular culture, the punishment is the same for the man. Here in America, there is no punishment for the man.
Yeah.
There's for the woman, and I'm not going to say punishment. I don't want to use the word punishment in this case, but in America, there is a very strong emotional toll on the woman to make the decision that if she goes through with it, what is the
Mhm,
emotional toll afterwards? But then the
mhm,
man is viewed here as just literally getting off scot free. But
mhm,
let's say in Morocco, it's it's not. The same punishment applies to both the male and the female, which
mhm.
I'm glad you actually showed that and brought that forward.
Yes, I did, and it's also the law says to also the medical crew and anyone who got involved. Yes, and it's criminalized, which is important. I wanted to highlight that. There is jail time if something like that might happen to someone. Um, and this is in every Muslim country. Or even like I think Poland has illegal abortion also. So few European countries also have extreme abortion bans. Yes, I believe yes. So I wanted to bring, like I said, a human story to the issue.
Well, I noticed something in the very beginning of the film, and when I watched it a second time, I had to go back and just kind of pause it for a moment
Hmm.
and grasp what the meaning was. And I think I know what it was, but I'm going to let you explain. But in the beginning of the film, the two young girls who, according to police, were not properly dressed. Uh,
Hmm.
was this to show that in some countries and in a way that the dress code is treated with the same harshness as if someone got an abortion, or that the style of clothing could actually lead to sex outside of marriage?
That I see what you mean. I think both, but I really took the law and I read what the law said. And I remember I shot in Tunisia, and I remember I was with the crew, and also from Morocco to Tunisia, it is similar culture, but there is some little bit of differences. But I took the law, I read the law, what the moral law said, and it did say, which this is really not funny, but it's absolutely sad. But if a woman walks on the street and flip her hair, or just a gesture that attract the eye, that is a more we can arrest her because she is disturbing the peace of the crowd. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but a gesture. So flipping hair.
Is it based on a that it's looked upon as a possible sexual gesture?
Well, it says that it attracts the eye and it might also disturb the peace of society. Of you know,
And
that's
that's in Morocco?
that was in Tunisia when I
Ah.
read that. Yeah, but it's similar. Like we also have that in
Well, what
everywhere.
is the punishment for that?
Well, it can be a fine. It can be if someone wants to push it. I mean, there is a law, and if someone decides to really push the envelope, you can go in front of the judge, and maybe the judge might, if he wants to push the envelope, he might say 1 month or 6 months or 3 months jail time, or just pay a fine. But that's what he's doing. It's a moral police, which they have in Iran, and it is very extreme. And in Morocco, or I mean, I want to say North Africa and Middle East, um, the law exists. It's not reinforced as much, but if a policeman decide if he sees two girls and he decides that they disturb the peace, um, he can do something. He can arrest them. He can ask for their IDs. He can do something. I remember when I grew up, when I was in high school, I remember if you hold the hand of your boyfriend and you walk by the ocean, and a policeman will arrest and ask if you're married, and he will try to harass. Yes, yes, that I remember
Well,
vividly.
how is the law treated towards foreigners or tourists? And let's say you have a bunch of Instagram influencers showing up and they're flipping their hair or they're wearing bikinis or maybe their clothing is a little bit more suggestive. Um, how is that treated by the
If
law?
it's if it's as long as they're not Moroccan, you have to be. I mean, you have to be citizen again. I don't want to say Morocco, but like you have to be citizen. As long if you a citizen of that country, the law applies to you. Now, in certain countries, the North African countries, I think it's not reinforced that much, but it does exist and it does happen sometimes. It's not like we've seen in Iran, for example.
So, and so for some countries, there's actually a double standard.
Yes.
Wow. I would have never thought. Now, I have heard about the morality police, and I don't want to bring up too much about it, but I know that in Iran, it's extreme
Hmm.
and very extreme towards women.
Hmm.
Uh, but um, but again, your film. Uh, so was the whole film shot in Tunisia?
Yes.
Over how many days?
5 days. Yeah.
It was beautiful storytelling.
Thank you. Thank you. I shot for 48 minutes, and now it's just 20 minutes. I felt like the movie needs a little more minutes.
No, I
No?
think it's
Okay.
I know. I think it's done perfectly.
Oh,
It
thank you.
flowed. It flows very, very well. Um, the audience can follow along. They know what's happening. But I was astonished on your timing because, like you said, you already had this written in 2019. And
Mhm.
then just last year, So when all right, so Roe versus Wade was overturned June 24th.
Mhm.
When did you uh, grab the script and I guess tweaking it uh, for what happened? And from June 24th, when did you start filming?
We filmed in January this year, end of January this year. When I saw the overturn of Roe v. Wade, a week later, that's it. I was deciding that this is what I'm gonna do. So I start looking where I'm gonna shoot. I start scouting probably around October 2022. And then I went to Tunisia in October and December 2022, and then January 2023 we start shooting, and then I had a long period of editing. I start editing in March, and I just finished in August, a couple of months ago.
My goodness. And then immediately you hit the film festivals.
Not really, because I missed the whole film festival season period, but I did. The film is gonna be screened next week to the New York Short Film Festival, which is actually very lovely because I'm a New Yorker. I'm from New York, so it's perfect. And then it's just doing the award season for the
Well,
Oscar.
but this film has been Oscar qualified.
Yes, it did. Yes, it has.
Is that a shock to you on the timeline of going from script to scouting to filming to editing? And here we are, and you're already Oscar qualified. That is phenomenal.
Yes, yes, it's a journey. I can believe. I'm very happy. I can't believe it, but I'm happy for the crew. I'm happy for everyone who worked on the film, the crew in Tunisia, the actors. They just. I'm so happy for them.
Well, how
Yeah,
was the casting process?
it was wonderful. I met Mohamed. I saw Mohamed Grayan on two other films, and I really liked him. And I knew that that's the actor I want. So we had few calls when I was in New York, few Zooms, few FaceTime videos. And then I met him in Tunisia and we started rehearsing, and he's wonderful. And then Sabrina, the wife who plays the wife, she's also, I met her when I was in Tunisia, and she's wonderful. And yeah, and every actor was great. And the cop, the woman cop, she's amazing. I met her like a day before the shoot, and I was like, and she's amazing.
You know, what I loved about his acting was that he didn't really have to say much.
Hmm.
His facial expression, you could basically read what he was thinking just by the look in his eyes, and that really brought from the male side. That really brought that emotion forward in
Hmm.
this film. And again, Zineb, it's a beautiful film. It's a powerful film. Um, it's as timely. I mean, you could have had more perfect timing than this, and now you're Oscar qualified. So and rightly so.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's
Well,
very kind. I'm
you're very
excited.
welcome. Well, for those that have seen the film, what has the reaction been?
Well, I can't believe this. I might start cheering up a little bit. They loved it, and I think people see that there is a lot of layers, and there is no judgment. It is a story, a human story of two people going through the same issue. It's also topical. I mean, 2024, we're gonna have it's election year, and I'm sure abortion's gonna be a topic of debate. And people felt something about it. Yeah, like the stories people connected. And I was concerned because I didn't know how the American audience will connect with a story like this, that it is happening somewhere else in the world, even if there is a connection, but it's still happening in the Middle East. So I don't know if they were connect with the story, but they did. So so far, so good.
Well, have you had any feedback from the pro-life side or in the pro-choice side? Have you heard any feedback from either side of that?
No, no, I've no. I mean, I haven't. The people who watch the film are people from the industry. No activist or no NGOs has watched the film yet. I don't know. I hope there won't be any backlash. I don't know. I'm just
Well,
trying.
that's why some films like yours become thought provoking, because that's what they're supposed to do, regardless of any backlash. But for you, what do you want the audiences to take away from your film?
So I want women to feel seen because there is nothing more harder in life than going through pain alone. I want them to feel seen. I want them to know that this is a collective um, issue that we're going through, and that um, that they're seen, like they're not alone. Like I hope that we can create have a healthy debate around, let's try to bring a community and share stories. There's this wonderful thing that happened on set while I was shooting, and I really wanted to have a lot of girls and women on in the crew, and with actresses and the whole female crew, they start talking about what it is to be a woman in a patriarchal society, in a Muslim society, how they get harassed from the police, or the harassment from men while they drive, and the issues on abortions, and they know friends of friends who got abortion and then their parents didn't talk to them, but it they start sharing those stories, and people and other girls were listening, and suddenly they felt like better. And just to share your own story with no judgment, it makes you feel heard, and there is empathy and warmth. So that's kind of what I want to do also, like, because when we go to a movie, we do share, or we see a movie, it's collective. I'm sorry, my English is not that good.
No, you're doing great. I'm actually listening because you bring up a very good point. Because, like I said, this is I. You have one side that wants to treat it as a political issue, but it's really an emotional issue. The political side of things, everyone yelling at the top of their lungs, wanting to be heard, is leaving out empathy. They're leaving out the emotional side. They're leaving out the emotional toll on making that decision. There's an emotional toll after the decision is made. And even after the abortion, I've talked to people, talked to women who have gone through that. There is an emotional side to what happens afterward,
Mhm.
and it cannot be ignored. And the politics on this subject gets in the way of what a human being is going to feel and decide. Because the political side, there, I get what both sides are trying to say, but both sides leave the human element out.
Mhm. Yes.
Your film brings in the human element, and it allows the audience to make their own decision. Like you said, at the end of the film, we don't know what decision the wife made. We can pretty much decide what the single woman's decision was going to be, but the married one, we don't know that decision. And I think you ended this film perfectly.
Thank you.
So this, ladies and gentlemen, regardless on what side of the aisle you are on the abortion issue, you need to realize that there are human beings involved. And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the ones shouting at the top of their lungs on what's right or what's wrong. There's a human element here. And we need to take that into account and have empathy for those that are facing this decision.
Mhm.
Uh, for ladies and gentlemen, if you ever have the opportunity to see Zineb's film Interruption, I encourage you to see this amazing short film. I can understand why it is Oscar qualified, and rightly so. Zineb, I've got to ask you, what is next for you? Because I went to your website and I was
Okay.
very intrigued with the words, "You reap what you sow." Is that a new project?
You, pardon me, you what? You?
Yeah,
What did,
I it's your website.
yeah.
There is the words, "You reap what you sow." Is that an upcoming project?
No, no, I'm not sure who manages that website, but no. But what I'm doing, I'm not sure. But what I'm doing right now, what I have next is to promote Interruption, and also I'm writing a story in the US for my next feature film.
Ah, fantastic. Well, besides with the whole issue with the actor strike, um, are there for you were there acting projects that you had to put on hold?
Not right now, no. I'm actually looking for a new agent. That's my next step. Yes.
Ah,
But there,
fan. Well, I know how that world works. So,
okay.
but again, uh, I want to thank you so much for sharing your powerful film Interruption with us today.
Much. I think I lost you. Thank you so much.
You're very,
Thank
very
you
welcome. You're good. Yeah, all good. We
for
know how the
having
virtual
me.
the virtual feeds can work sometimes, but all good. But ladies and gentlemen, Zineb Oukach's film Interruption is a beautiful film, can be a very controversial subject, which is abortion. Uh, and to know that Roe versus Wade not only being known in America, but the rest of the world was watching. And
Mhm.
uh, and we should also know too and understand that in other parts of the world, abortion has always been illegal. But Zineb brings forth a perspective that has not been really shown by anyone. And her excellent ways of filmmaking has brought this film forward. It's powerful, it's a must see, and it is Oscar qualified. So we will find out here in the next few months if she gains the Oscar nomination for the 2024 Academy Awards. But I will say, Zineb, you have deserved uh, to be on that Oscar shortlist with this film.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're
Oh,
very
you
kind.
are you're very, very welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching. I pray that you take something with you from this discussion with Zineb and her again, very powerful, thought-provoking short film, Interruption. So for all of you, I want to thank you for watching and tuning in as well as listening. And as for me, I will see you next time.